Hey everyone, welcome to No Makeup Mondays, episode 5. And it's currently spring break here, so I am up in the mountains with my family. And I have to tell you, first of all, it's beautiful up here. There's still snow. You can see it outside the window there. And, um, and I just enjoy having a little bit of a slower week. But in some ways, it's been a tough week, and I can't tell you all the reasons why for that. But I wanted to get out of No Makeup Monday today. I tried to come up with every reason, and the reason I decided to do it is because of you, because I knew you would be here and waiting for it, and so I needed to show up for you. But I want to tell you, the subject today is a hard one. It's for those who feel less than. And so I'm going to be pretty raw and authentic here, which I don't want to do, but I'm going to anyway. Good morning, Rachel. I'm so glad you're here. So today, well, let's just put it this way. One of my biggest struggles over the last couple of years after my surgery and everything changed on my body is functioning at a lesser capacity. So I've always been a highly driven, hardworking person who can get, 30 hours of work done in a 24-hour day, right? Hi there, Audra. I'm so glad you're here. Hey there, Jenny. I'm glad you're here too. And so I had this certain capacity, which is really helpful to have kind of a high functioning capacity, especially when you have 6 kids and you're working full time. And then all these health things happened, and I can't function that way anymore. And so it's forced me to slow way down. I go to bed at about 8:30 every night. That gives you an idea. I take a nap every day. I can't get as much work done as I used to get done, and just at a lesser capacity. Anybody there have noticed that you aren't maybe the same as you were 20 years ago or 10 years ago? And what's been really hard for me, and this is just being very, very honest, in addition to the fact that I'm physically different, what's been really hard for me is my inability to produce as much as I used to be able to produce, to be able to work as much as I used to be able to work. And that is very hard for me because when I don't feel like I'm accomplishing anything, I feel like there's a lack of worth. So, which is very common. We live in a culture that equates work with worth. Rachel, you mentioned your thyroidectomy. Well, that's another piece of this, is radiation completely killed my thyroid. So on top of just the cancer and the chemo and the radiation and the physical differences that I have to live with every single day, I don't have that functioning thyroid either. So that just adds another level on top of everything else. So anyway, but we live in a culture where we associate work with worth. And work and worth go together. And that makes it very difficult for those of us who, well, first of all, it makes it difficult for any of us who get older, which is pretty much all of us. As we get older, our ability to contribute and to work hard and to feel like we're adding something to the world gets diminished. And so if we wrap up our sense of worth in our work, it's just a matter of time before our sense of significance goes down. And this has been something that I've been struggling with big time over the last 2 years, is coming to terms with my inability to produce what I used to be able to produce. And in our culture of extreme busyness and workaholism and even in parenting and marriage and relationships and friendships and everything, okay, just aside from any kind of faith or spirituality, we have such pressure on ourselves to go above and beyond and to work so hard in order to earn our skin. We feel like we have to prove that we have every right to be here and to be alive. And when we can't do that, when we have a day that we hit a wall and we can't do that, we're not just tired then, but our sense of value and significance plummets, and we feel, anybody else feel that way, where you just feel like you are just never enough? I mean, you just can't muster it to do it. And this has been a massive struggle for me. And be real honest, yesterday was a tough day for me. By the way, I've noticed a theme that with No Makeup Mondays, the day before always is the one where God somehow allows my heart to be wrecked just in time for No Makeup Monday. So thank you guys for that. So yesterday was really tough, and really fighting against it. So yes, I know I wrote a book called I Am, which is all on identity, but just because I wrote about it doesn't mean I've conquered it. So I went for a walk yesterday afternoon, just trying to, hoping to clear my head and get some new perspective. And while I was on this walk, the very first song that played on my iPhone was a song by Carl Carty called This Is the Gift of God. And I recommend you look it up. It's by Carl Carty, Cartee. It's called This Is the Gift of God. And very simply, it sums up Ephesians 2, 4 and 5. And it just simply says, here, I'll pull up my Bible here. It says, it talks about who we are before Christ. It says, all of us lived among them, those who were apart from God, at one time, gratifying the cravings of our flesh and following its desires and thoughts. Like the rest, we were by nature deserving of wrath. In other words, what it's saying is we were by nature, in the very beginning, deserving of rejection. We weren't enough. And then in verse 4 it says, but, oh man, don't you love a good placed but? But because of his great love for us, God, who is rich in mercy, made us alive even while we were dead. And I listened to this song probably on repeat at least 5 or 6 times as I was walking, because it once again, and this is gonna sound simplistic, but it's absolutely magnificent. Basically, all that song is doing is reminding us of the gospel. For those of us who feel less than, who feel like we can't contribute, who feel like we're not enough, those of us who feel completely exhausted and trying to work so hard to somehow prove our worth and to earn our significance and to take care of all the things we think that we're supposed to take care of, God so graciously yesterday slowed me down and just said, Michelle, don't forget the gospel. Don't forget the gospel. Because while you were still dead, Michelle, when you could do nothing, when you could accomplish nothing, I made you alive. And then, I don't know, in a strange way yesterday, I mean, I've heard the gospel since I was about 9 months old. In a strange way yesterday, God reminded me again that the power of the gospel is that you and I can rest. This is so contrary to our world. I mean, it's so contrary. But you and I can rest. When Jesus was on the cross dying on our behalf, when he took all the price and all the penalty that you and I deserve, right? Because we make mistakes, we blow it, we fail. Boy, I blew it a lot this last week. And when we do that, Christ on the cross pays for that. And when Jesus was on the cross, his last words were, it is finished. It is finished. It's done. No more. No more. And when Jesus says it's finished, it's complete. That means there's no more work that you and I need to do to earn anything. That means in my diminished capacity, being able to work only half the number of hours that I used to be able to work and being only able to produce half of what I was able to produce. You and I, as we are diminished and less than and not enough, Jesus says, guess what? It's finished. I did it. You can rest. You can rest. So I thought of that all day long yesterday, and trying to let that sink in, because just because we say we know the gospel doesn't mean we know the gospel. The gospel, the word gospel comes in its root means good news. And so this week, my heart for me, for you, is for you and I to rest in the good news this week. To rest. That's what Lent in parts is all about, right? We have just a few more weeks, a couple more weeks till Easter. But that the work has been done. Last week we talked about focusing on adoration, and I hope you've been doing that. I've been doing it all week, and it really has made a big difference. But I want that adoration this week to be tied with rest. We can adore the magnificence and the glory and the significance of God. And then as a result of that adoration, we can rest in the many ways that we're not enough because of how great and glorious He is. And if you're watching this or listening right now and you don't know the good news yet, let me tell you, my friends, it's the best news you've ever heard and could ever possibly imagine. If this life is wearing you out and you're exhausted and you're tired and you're worn out from this life, and let me tell you, I get really worn out of this life. It's hard. If you're worn out, there's this God who sees you and knows you. He sees your lostness. He sees how you feel less than. He knew all of the challenges and the struggles that you would face. And He sent His Son named Jesus to be God with us so we would not be alone. And Jesus entered into human life. He left the perfection of heaven to enter into human life so He could be with us, so He could be near us, so He could walk with us on the days when we feel less than. And Jesus saw that at our core, there was a part of us that was so wounded that we couldn't heal it or fix it. And so Jesus said, I'm going to give my life so I can heal her life. I'm going to give my life so that this woman, this man, this child, who feels so incredibly broken, can be healed once and for all. And so He climbed up on the cross, and He suffered excruciating pain. All the pain that you and I have ever felt combined was laid on Him, even though He was completely perfect. He carried all of that pain so that one day you and I would be made completely whole. And then He, on that cross, He simply said, it is finished. So this week, my friend, regardless of how less than you feel, I want you to, I have it on a card here. Now it's going to be backwards on the video, but it simply says, it is finished, Jesus. And this has been something that I've been carrying around for the last month to remind me that I don't have to earn my skin. I don't have to be worthy of my life because Jesus did it. It's finished. And that means I can rest. So this week, I told you I was going to be raw and honest. I'd much rather be super, super strong. But this is just real life. And I promise you, No Makeup Mondays would be me bringing the most authentic parts of my journey to intersect with yours so we can do this life together. So this week I want you to rest. Every time you're tempted to work extra hard or to try to go prove that you are worthy, I want you to remember Ephesians 2:4 and these words, it is finished. But because of His great love for us, God, who is rich in mercy, made us alive even while we were dead. That is the good news. Father God, thank you for today. Thank you for life. I'll be honest, I don't feel like I have a lot of strength to do today. And I know there's other people listening who don't feel like they have strength to do today. And so, God, we simply want to say that we're going to just rest in the good news today. That you've paid it all. You've already done it. It's finished. Help the gospel to plant itself so deep in us that it changes us. In Jesus' name, amen. Rest in the good news, friends. I'm going to do my best just to rest in the good news. I love you.